Hi, good afternoon. My name is Andrew Donaldson. I am the project manager for the United States Department of Transportation Connected Vehicle Certification Program that Danlaw is very pleased to have been awarded. We get asked a lot of questions about what the certification is and what we're doing, why we're doing it. And also we get asked a lot of questions about how it works in general at a higher level by people who've heard a little bit about vehicles being connected but don't really know what that means. So I'm going to hopefully answer a few of those questions and explain a little bit about what Danlaw is doing, why we're doing it. So what's new? Cars have been connected for a long time. We've heard a lot about it from the previous speakers. Back in 1922 we had a radio. It was kind of the first time the outside world was brought into a vehicle. Cars have had, we have cell phones, we have radios, we have satellite radios. I was very excited when I found out the McLaren F1 actually had a cell phone modem, and for the first time the car was actually calling home itself. So we've had a lot of things that vehicles are communicated and connected. So what's new? Some terms we've heard today: car to car, vehicle to vehicle. So for the first time, one car is talking to another. They already talk to an infrastructure in one way or another. And the term V2X is where a car, just a general term for cars talking to things. The biggest thing that I see is changing. Not only is a car talking to another car, but a car is now taking an action, or can take an action by itself, based on the information it receives from other vehicles and from the infrastructure. And also the information that a car is sending out is affecting the way other vehicles are acting and how the signals themselves are working. So the whole thing is beginning to get connected together. So Colin mentioned this, DSRC. DSRC means a lot of things to different people, but truly it's very, very similar to Wi-Fi. Right? So we have the cell phones, your computers. It works on 5.9 gigahertz, which is very close to one of the Wi-Fi standards, with a few differences. It's secure and has a very low latency. And for the first time, it's a communication method that can just broadcast out. My car doesn't care who's listening. I'm always going to send the information to everybody, and you can use it or not, or hear it or not. It doesn't matter. So why are we doing this? Well, connected is generally protected. If I'm connected and I know something is coming at me, I can do something about it. Ultimately, I can also make other people safe, because they know I'm there, they know how fast I'm going, they know where I'm, approximately where I've been and where I'm going. They know if I'm out of control, they know if I'm braking hard, they know if I'm coming around a corner, they know all sorts of things. So connected, being protected is is one of our goals. So what can DSRC do for you? There's a load of applications. I personally like to split them into two to make it just for my own thinking. Those that are safety related and those that are environmentally related. I don't really want to talk through them. Colin did a great job of explaining how they fit into the infrastructure we're building in Michigan. But ultimately it can tell you if someone ahead of you is braking before you can see them. It can tell you if it's not safe to pass because the car knows someone is coming around the corner. And then there's the environmental applications, helping you drive in an environmentally friendly way. If you know how long it's going to be before the light goes green, you can adjust your speed accordingly. There are applications where the vehicle can do that for you. Supporting platooning, where there's a whole bunch of vehicles all traveling together, the front car communicating to all the other vehicles how fast it's going, communicating to the infrastructure so the light knows that the first vehicle of the platoon is going through, and as the last car goes through, the light knows the platoon is clear, so it can carry on. So connecting the vehicles with the DRC communications really enables us to be safer and more environmentally friendly. Can also make your journeys a lot more easy. So how does it all work? Well, it's quite complicated. The arrows really tell you the only bits that you see as a user. The purple box, this is your car. The yellow box is an information device that you can carry around that will tell you what's going on. And the orange box in the middle is a roadside unit, and that might be buried inside a traffic signal controller or a separate box. But everything else goes on around the scenes, collecting data, providing data out about the weather, about the road conditions, about the traffic, all the things that Colin actually talks about. So the infrastructure here is very complicated. And this is basically, it's called the Unified Implementation of the CVRIA, which is the Connected Vehicle Reference Implementation Architecture. And it grew out of the Southeast Michigan architecture and has been standardized for all the pilots moving forward that the US DOT are sponsoring. So, challenges. Well, interoperability has all got to work together. And that's quite difficult when all these pieces are coming together from many different companies, many different places. The standards, specifications, and requirements are still being discussed. They're not published. It's pretty difficult to actually say, I'm going to build something today that I can put in a pilot that's going to work tomorrow or next year. This is really difficult at the moment. So what Danlaw is trying to do is, and with our partners in the US DOT, is focus on the things that are most important for the pilots. We learned an awful lot of lessons in previous pilots. We do not want to have to repeat the lessons. And so the certification and testing that we're going to offer are based on information flows and the most critical interfaces in the system. So the first one is vehicle situation data. We want to make sure that every car that broadcasts the same information in the same way. So that every other vehicle in the infrastructure actually understands what's being said. The same thing with the vehicle situation data. The traffic signals, the mapping information that the traffic signal sends out saying how many lanes I have, what approaches are available, and also the status of the lights has to be the same for everybody. At the moment, they're really not. So it will be standardized. A common distribution system will be put in place for all of the information, for the backhauls we talked about, for getting information to and from the data warehouse. All has to have the same information in the same format. And the security, very, very important. And it has to, we're going to use one system. So, because the standards aren't published, we have to pick a path, one path for everybody. That is generally what is going on right now. This is what Danlaw is helping to do with our partners, and that is to take the standards that are there today and we know are coming up and pick one implementation, so one version of a standard, and equally as important, one interpretation of that standard, and publish it for everybody to follow for the next pilots. We will also be providing a set of tools and services so that we can build the modules to assist in testing and certifying those particular core functions and modules. And we'll also be offering a certification to show compliance. There is a sticker that has been designed by our friends at the DOT, US DOT, which basically is a symbol that the modules that you have said that you comply with, that you have shown to be tested, that you have shown compliance with. So if you say that your module sends out a basic safety message, you have to have a certificate to say you have passed the testing and the available standards before you will be offered a certificate. And you need the certificate in order to get the security certificates to play on the pilots. So why was Danlaw chosen to help do this? Well, we have great connections to the automotive industry. We're here. We've been doing it, electronics and vehicles for a long time. We can take the standards, the radio standards that apply to cell phones and everything else, and we can make them real for cars Test automation. All of the things that David told us about MX Suite, we will expand MX Suite to include the DSRC testing, so you can use these tools for developing your tools and your products. We have an engineering capacity that we're building the skills to develop DSRC-based products and certifications. But we have a huge experience in actually putting electronics in cars. We have over 2 million of the OBD devices. So certified for pilots. As mentioned earlier, we are not certifying products. There are too many products, too many product combinations, functions and everything for us to offer a certification that actually says your entire product, including the applications, are certified. So there's the modular approach to the certification, showing the core functionality, so basic safety messages, the different standards, do you comply with them. So as a product supplier, you will pick and choose your functions that you want to perform on the pilots. You come and get those functions certified. Some of the customers, for example, the pilot operators or the DOT, they may mandate some or all of the modules that need to be tested. Your customers may not care, or they may say they want more than just the normal certification. And the basic security certificates will not be issued unless you can show compliance. It's not really possible to mandate the testing. There's no laws that say you have to pass this compliance in order to run on pilots. And so it's the method really of being a gate to the pilots to make sure that everything is compliant before it gets used. So we talked about some of the modules that we're building. So what are we certifying? Getting a little bit technical, but there is a typical data flow to send a message from a vehicle to a vehicle up through a number of standards. There's at the bottom we have the actual physical layer and the piece that transmits the message. We've got pieces of the layers that build the message together. We have an information processing layer, some security. So we're building these purple boxes that you can pick and choose as a supplier which box you want to get certified. There'll be about 15 to 20 of these modules. Again, we're not certifying the applications. It is up to the OEMs and the product suppliers to make sure that the applications that sit on top of the core functions meet the requirements for the trials.
Hey, do you have the ability to certify IEEE 1609 back to version 3?
That's a great question. Jin, did you hear the question? Specifically, there was a specific version, the question regarding a specific version of a particular standard.
IEEE standard.
1609 was that?
1609 back to version 3.
Dot 2 version 3.
So that'll be security.
We are doing that.
You're doing that, and it's just published and just keep on evolving, so you got to be part of that, right?
Yes.
Before you can certify.
Yes, the gentleman at the back has played on they sit on the committees and are part of it, plus we are in partnership with Department of Transport and 2 other companies, and we're working with a number of other parties in order to build the certification. It's not a simple thing to do the security, but if you do not comply with the security, then it just won't work. So it's one of the challenges
It's
that
not
we have.
connected. You're not protected, we're not connected.
That's right. So how do I get my module certified? Well, some basic steps. You have to study all the study the many standards that are available today, and that are changing and are not necessarily available. And you have to pick a path. Once you have your path, develop your software, and include any mandatory tests that are required for certification. And that is something that a lot of the modules may not have today, but in order for us to test some of the aspects, we will need some additional functions in the modules in order to fully test compliance. And we're in the process of specifying and agreeing those today. Submit the module for evaluation to a member of the certification team. So you will provide a box or a software module along with a list of functions that you want testing. To us, and the other partners are Southwest Research and 7Layers. And after successful certification, apply for the required security certificate. At the moment, there's a gatekeeper in the US DOT who will hand out the certificates for the pilots. And the intent is that those, you will either have to have a certificate or show that you comply with the requirements of the certification in order to get a certificate. So how can we help? Well, we're right in the middle of specifying the path through the standards. So for our customers, we can offer the consultation to help understand those, help get ready for developing the software. We have engineering services, and we can in-house or provide resources to help you develop your products or develop them for you. We are one of the selected partners to provide the certification services. So you can bring your module to us and we can perform certification services for you. And then afterwards, apply for the certificate to the USDOT for the pilot. Long term, the SCMS, actual how that will be managed to get your certificates, that has not been defined. But for the next pilots, you will get them direct from the USDOT after you have certification. The MX Suite, though, David did a great job of explaining to us, we will add the DSRC capability to that. And we will use that as part of our certification. Now, if our customers who use the MX Suite to do their own testing with the same software modules can apply to the USDOT and should use those test results from our products to show compliance. So there may be no need for certification if you use one of the approved tools, which ours will be one of those, to do your own testing. And that's it. I just wanted to kind of give you a flavor of what Danlaw is doing for the certification, what the certification means, and what we are doing to help our customers build products. So does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, what's the cost of your certification? How long does it take?
That has not been defined yet, and how long it will take will depend on where we get with the requirements and what it is. So it requires extensive on-road testing for modules that that perhaps have accelerometers in, that we need to actually move. That's going to take longer than something that we can put on a bench and run a certification suite against. So a lot will depend on how many of the modules that require certification and what they tend to be. Today we are in the requirements gathering process. So at the moment I can't really answer that question.
Okay. Is this the intent for a company to become like a organization such as the Underwriter Laboratory, UL, for electrical product? You have to get your product marked and UL certified to meet the safety standards for any electrical product involved. And this one will be something for a connected vehicle. Is that the intent?
Right now, the scope is limited to the pilots.
Okay.
And depending on where the industry goes, it is certainly something that we are intending to offer the certification moving forward, if that remains a requirement for connected vehicles internationally. I have no crystal ball to know what's going to be required moving forward. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Everybody's attention for one more moment. Has everybody put their business cards in the drawing for the Tigers tickets? Okay, we have Tigers tickets courtesy of Mario at Celine.
There are 11 rows behind home plate, and parking is right next to the stadium on a flat lot, and it allows entrance to the Tiger Inn or Tiger Club. So, is that?
New to me, because I just showed up at 3 o'clock. Do you explain what the program is?
Oh, it's just a drawing.
It's just a drawing person, 3 Tiger tickets.
Four Tiger tickets.
How many business cards can you put in?
Ask Mike.
There's a fee for additional.
The game is for this Thursday at 1 o'clock, but unfortunately, I didn't know what game somebody wanted, so whoever wins it, if they want to exchange them, my business card is in there and we could work that out for you, okay?
Yeah, if you don't have a business card, use one of mine.
Good one.
Right now.
Right now.
So, do you want to do the honors, or what do you?
Well, Brenna can.
Okay.
Come on. Oh man, if I didn't know this, I'd have put mine. Is that allowed? No, I don't think you're allowed.
I think we said person has to be present.
Audrey McDonald?
Audrey from Verizon.
No?
Who?
Audrey?
Next.
No, Audrey.
Must be present to win.
Oh, okay.
Alright. Pressure's on it, Grizzly. Claudia Birch.
Oh, boy.
Claude's not here.
Close that here.
Where are all the girls? Alright.
Come on, Brenna.
Third test. Andrew Harding. Yeah?
There you go.
Third time's a charm.
Thank you. Well, that's good. You sat in the front row. You got rewarded. All right, that concludes the formal part of the show. We'll still have some chow here and drinks, be hanging around till, maybe 4:45 or so, and then we kick off over at the race car event at 5 o'clock. So thanks for coming, and we look forward to chatting and networking and hanging out some more.